About sex-linked traits, specifically chromosome pair number 23. So we know there are 23 pairs of chromosomes. You have 46 total, 23 from mom and 23 from dad. Numbers 1 through 22 are called autosomal chromosomes. They're going to have different traits. The sex chromosome is chromosome number 23. And so those pairs of chromosomes, that pair of chromosomes is called our sex chromosomes. Now, sex-linked traits, we're going to focus on today. Sex-linked traits are almost always found in the X chromosome. Now, the X chromosome and the Y chromosome, a little bit different. Obviously, you can see the X chromosome, although it's a cartoon picture, has more genes and has more DNA than the Y chromosome. So when we have sex-linked traits, they're almost always found in the X chromosome. Now, just a refresher for us, the female chromosome combination on her 23rd chromosome, if she has two X chromosomes, then she would be a female. And then if you have an X and a Y combination, or an X and a Y chromosome, you would be a male. The Y chromosome, again, is not nearly as big as the X chromosome. So, fellas, we have less DNA on our Y chromosome than the X chromosome. It doesn't carry as many genes. Some sex-linked traits: color blindness, hemophilia, muscular dystrophy, white eye color in fruit flies, male pattern baldness. A lot of these traits are going to be recessive, but some can be dominant. But these are some of the most common sex-linked traits that we have. Some of those traits will be genetic disorders, and that's caused by mutations or changes in someone's DNA. Sometimes those disorders can be inherited from parent to offspring. Sometimes people may actually have a gene for a disorder, but they won't show it. And we call those individuals carriers because they don't actually have the actual disorder, but they could pass it on to their offspring. A karyotype is a picture of someone's chromosomes. So you can see chromosome pairs 1 through 22, and this right here would be chromosome pair number 23. And you could probably figure out right there, if you have one X and one Y chromosome, then this person right here is a male. And you can see right here, ladies and gentlemen, the Y chromosome is not nearly as big as the X. So the X chromosome has much more DNA, which is why sex-linked traits are going to be all very common here. Again, another picture for you guys with X and Y chromosomes. The X chromosome is much longer. It has more DNA, can carry more disorders as well. The Y chromosome doesn't have nearly as much DNA and carries less genes as well. So one of the disorders, and it's not going to be life-threatening, is color blindness. And then we'll see real quick if you can figure out what number that is. Sometimes they'll have color blindness tests to see, with numbers in here, to see, you know, if somebody is colorblind. That number is 74. That number is 68. Then up here we have a 58, an 18, a letter E, and number 17. But those are some of the tests they may give you to see if you, in fact, are colorblind. Now we're doing some sample problems. Kiddos, if you've done your Punnett squares, this should be no problem for you. A little bit of a twist again. So we're going to kind of set up and show you how to write genotypes and then Punnett squares of individuals involving some X-linked or sex-linked traits. Again, remember, most sex-linked traits will occur on the X chromosome. So red-green color blindness, the most common type of color blindness, is a sex-linked trait. It's only on the X chromosome, not in the Y. It's also recessive, which means you have to have both of those for it to show up. So we're going to use a capital N for normal vision and a lowercase n for being colorblind. So here's a little bit different here. When we write something, I'm going to show you females. So if a female is XX, and so we're going to use a little, like we did last time with, incomplete dominance and codominance. A normal female, she has two X chromosomes, and she has both normal genes. But a female right here could be normal. She has one normal gene, and she has one of the color blindness genes. Now, because color blindness is recessive, the normal gene will overshadow the color blindness gene. So that's good for the female. So she doesn't have color blindness, but we call her a carrier. She could pass it on, which I'll show you in a moment. As far as a colorblind female, she actually has to have both color blindness genes to be considered colorblind. So she has to have both recessive genes to be colorblind. Now, males, we're not so lucky. Remember, why don't I have a little N over here? Because color blindness is an X-linked trait. It's only on the X chromosome. Kiddos, these traits will only be on the X chromosome. So for a normal male that sees normal vision, you have an X, little N up top, and nothing on the Y. There will not be anything on the Y because it's an X-linked trait. But here's the bad thing, kiddos, or fellas. If we have one bad X chromosome, guess what? We're colorblind. So that's why it's an advantage for ladies and for females, is because they have two X chromosomes. They almost have a backup X chromosome. So if they have, one normal one and one colorblind gene, the normal gene will overshadow it. But for us guys, if we have one colorblindness gene, it shows up because guess what? We only have one X chromosome. Our Y chromosome doesn't carry that trait. In the next video, guys, I'm going to show you some example problems on how to do some of these sex-linked traits.